So let me tell you about my grand vision. I think, actually, I know for a fact, actually, I'm just going to say that in the future, all professionals will have their career and will have some form of content creation going on. So that brings us to the question that you're asking right now. What will my employers think of me if I create content? So, Abdul, take it away. What will employers think in the future if they come across a candidate who creates content?
First things first, content creation is a very creative and innovative process. So you want to do things that helps you stand out from your peers, from your colleagues to your employers, right? For career progression, for those job promotions, to be able to get your hands on the projects you need to progress, right? Creating content is such a creative process. Imagine you go to the workplace and your boss or your employer knows, hey, Amos is a content creator, he's very creative, and an opportunity comes where they need you to flex those creative muscles. You'll be at the forefront.
Exactly. And I think naturally creativity is needed in problem solving. So if you're a professional, be it you're a doctor, be it you're a lawyer, be it you're a banker, be it you're involved in developing client relationships, right? You need to be creative with how you go about things. Content creation exercises that muscle incredibly well. To create videos, to be creative with your setup, even, it all requires creativity. So if you're a content creator, naturally, I'm going to think you're quite creative, right? What else do you think about?
All right, let's spin the table. Let's say creativity, marketing, it's all fluffy stuff, right? What are some tangible things? Communication. When you are a content creator, most often than not, you are communicating to your audience maybe a complex thing or breaking something down in a way that's enjoyable, that's understandable, in a way that is maybe entertaining. So you can say, hey, do you know what? Everyone's a creative or no one really cares in the workplace, but communication is such a big thing, right? Like I said, as an employer, when you see that someone is a content creator, you have someone in your team that's very good at communicating with the audience, naturally you are more inclined to work with them, to promote them, to give them certain opportunities.
Exactly, and that sort of can be applied to different extremes. So, for example, you might be an institution, let's say Harvard. You might be employing someone who you need on the research team. So, you need someone who can write really analytical articles and publish papers, right? Well, if you're out there interpreting, putting out published content, putting out complex content, right? Well, you've done the job already. They know about you. But you might be on the other end of the spectrum. You might be a doctor. You might need to sort of be able to relay complex things in simple terms. If you can do that through social media, then you can do it in real life too, right? So your communication skills is naturally something that develops in front of a camera, whether you're writing, whether you're coaching, whether you're building a course that's teaching something. Naturally, you will be an excellent communicator with time in the game, with time and consistency in the game, I have to add.
Similar to communication, the other thing is time management. So you're probably thinking, how on earth does a content creator become really good at time management? Well, when you are creating content, most often you're doing multiple pieces of content, you're scheduling it, you're planning when it goes out, when's the best time to get the most engagement from your audience. You're trying to do not only content creation, you're going to be designing, you're going to be marketing, you're going to be doing a lot of things. So imagine learning time management skills and bringing it back into the workplace. You become more productive, you become more efficient, you become someone that may be able to handle multiple projects with deadlines at the same time.
I think that you've hit the nail on the head there. So if you're a content creator, naturally your time management is actually very good. If you're consistent in the game, yeah, it means you're scheduling your videos, you're batching your videos, you're recording your videos, or it means you're writing consistently, weekly. You're making sure you're learning weekly and putting it into some sort of article that you're publishing, right? So naturally, if you're managing to publish content, it means you're managing your time very well. And it also means, like you said, in the corporate space, you would probably be able to handle several projects at the same time. That brings itself opportunities, and that brings itself also probably extra money and income, and your salary is probably going to be promoted too.
So the other thing that is a byproduct that not many people think about is you learn technical skills. And what do I mean by that? When you enter the world of content creation, when you are creating content, you learn how to use certain software and sometimes even devices. You learn, let's say, this video, you learn how to edit video, you learn how to set up cameras, lightings, mics, so on and so forth, right? And what does that mean? It means you get that you get that technical skills, that you're building that technical ability, right? And all of a sudden, when you're at the workplace, you're also looking at things. How do I make it more efficient? What software is out there that I can use? How do I make this department more efficient, right? And if you didn't do content creation, if you weren't familiar with stuff like this, you won't be, you'd be doing things the old school way, right? Might even be pen and paper, as a lot of medics. So this technical skills can be really well translated into the workplace environment.
I think one place that content creation has easily translated for me is when I've published a paper and researched it, right? Sorry, when I've done research and I've published it. So when you're presenting that research paper on a poster, right? You need to present it in a very aesthetic way. You only have the space of an A3 sheet of paper, right? Or when you're up on stage presenting something, you need to understand how to design a very nice presentation, very nice slides that the audience would be engaged in and not fall asleep in. So I think your technical skills are so important that content creation, again, naturally forces you into. You naturally start designing better thumbnails, you naturally start writing better, you naturally start to design better graphs and better bar charts and pie charts, and you know which one to use when and where and how, and what colors to use. Actually, that's quite important. Like, you just naturally understand colors, design, white space, all of these things. I didn't do a graphic design course, I didn't do that, I didn't study that, but I know that from content creation.
So another thing that the workplace, your employers will value when you are a content creator is this entrepreneurial spirit you develop. When you are creating content, not only are you designing it, you're publishing it, you're pushing it out there, you need to bring people in to watch it, right? You need to get this entrepreneurial spirit where, in a way, you're trying to build your audience, you're trying to get sales in, and it means you're a self-starter. It means you're good at building a brand, good at building a business. And one of the most sought-after traits in any workplace is people that take the initiative, that they find a problem, they go out and solve it. They don't need to be baby. They don't need to be handheld, right? So being a content creator lends itself naturally to becoming a self-starter. And that is incredibly valuable in any workplace.
No, I completely agree with that. I think employers naturally will love to have entrepreneurs within their company. People who are, like you said, they are problem solvers, they are go-getters, they get it done. Simple. They get it done. I think that's such a powerful trait. And as you said, being a content creator, it pushes you to understand how your viewers, your audience, people who engage with you, how did they respond to your content, and you need to respond back to it. And then you need to understand growth metrics, you need to understand how you're going to grow, you need to understand the market trends, you need to understand how you're going to, if you're teaching something, how are you teaching it, what's the best way to teach it. You need to keep up with the methods. Like right now, ChatGPT, everyone's talking about it, right? The best people who are going to be out there right now are the entrepreneurs who are thinking, how can they leverage ChatGPT? And they might not be entrepreneurs solo in their own startup. They might be entrepreneurs who are actually content creators working in a firm that know how to leverage ChatGPT, right? So completely agree.
Another thing that is really sought after is the ability to adapt, the ability to kind of maneuver yourself in difficult situations. When you are creating content, you're always trying to keep up with trends, trying to keep up with the latest software, AI that comes, you mentioned. So imagine taking that skill set to work. You're always adapting. You're always trying to find the best way, the innovative way. You're learning to adapt to challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis. In essence, from all the stuff we're talking about, these are the skills that you develop as a content creator, but you develop with the edge. You're not doing it the way everyone else in your workspace is doing it. You're doing it in your own way, and that's more valuable.
And going off of that point, right, talking about the value of that is that employers will understand, will say, this guy has a great attention to detail, right? As a content creator, right, think about it. Just setting up the camera, you're looking at things in the top left, top right. You're thinking about what's behind me. You're thinking about the camera, okay? You're thinking about the light, okay? You're thinking about the mic quality. You're thinking about the content that you're saying. You're thinking about when you're scripting, how it comes across. You're thinking, does it make sense? There's a detail to that. So if today you are the manager of a massive firm and someone comes in who's a content creator, and you've actually watched all their YouTube videos, you subscribe to their newsletter, you also read their published articles and blogs, you've also seen that they've taught a course on something, you're going to think, this guy is really detailed in what he does. He does whatever he does really well. That's an amazing trait to have, right? So I think that's definitely one thing that employers will think.
So when you're in the workplace, you're always selling. You're selling something, right? And I know it sounds crude, but what I mean is when you're writing that email and you want someone to do something, you're trying to sell something or you want them to do something. Or let's say you work in an industry where you're fighting for a tender or a contract, right? When you're a content creator, that's your bread and butter to a certain degree, right? Branding, marketing, learning how to sell for yourself, how to kind of engage with your audience. So these are skills that you bring forward to every aspect. When you're communicating with a colleague, when you're sending that email, let's say, there's one grant and there's 4 or 5 different project proposals and you are all waiting to get that grant money, right? This is where you can go in your element. This is when your boss or your employer will be like, hey, do you know what? You're a content creator. You're good at marketing. You're good at branding. Go pitch this project proposal, get us that grant money. If you didn't do content creation, it'd be very difficult to pick up those skills because you never have the opportunity to learn that, to build those muscles outside of the work environment.
And going off of that point, talking about that, I think employers in the future will just naturally say, this person is social media savvy. Now, why is that important, right? Let's be honest, a lot of brands, a lot of companies, a lot of industries will want their eyes on them, will want the eyes on them. They'll want a spotlight on them. If naturally you know how to sort of use social media, you know how to get an audience, you know how to build a community, right? That's powerful. That's powerful to how companies and startups operate, right? The one thing people say today in 2023 for success is that you need some sort of a community, right? So if you can leverage social media for that, that is great. Another thing is, for example, let's choose another field that we're not really involved in that much. Let's say the VC world, right? You might need to scout founders. If you know how to use social media, if you understand how founders are using social media, you'd know how to get deals going. You'd know how to get deal flow. And the VC firm that you're at would love that, right? So I think it's a great trait to have if you are social media savvy, and if employees think you're social media savvy, they'll know that this guy knows how to leverage social media for the company's benefit. I think you're an easy hire.
Yeah, I like that one with the VC scout. So ending it, which is probably one of my most favorite things, is as a content creator, it's akin to having this passion for learning and growth. You're always looking for new trends, things to talk about, new techniques, new technologies, new design, and it puts you in a growth mindset. And any employer would love to have a colleague, an employee that has a mindset of lifelong learning, that wants to learn, that wants to develop, that wants to upskill. The worst thing you want is companies spend a lot of money, time, and effort on recruiting people, right? Imagine you get someone that doesn't want to upskill, that doesn't want to learn new things, that just want to stay doing the same old thing, right? Whereas you have someone who because of the stuff you've seen online, they want to learn about new things, they have a zeal, they have a passion for growth. Definitely they're the type of people you want on your team.
Exactly. I think employers will love content creators because they are perpetual learners. And you're right. Imagine comparing someone who's stagnant and technology is moving so fast and they become easily outdated. They've got no hunger or appetite to learn. Whilst you've got someone who's a content creator who's constantly learning, constantly updating themselves, you're naturally gonna veer towards the content creator. So I think that's right. I think learning, that self-perpetual learner, is going to have an unfair advantage in the boardroom against someone who is not a content creator, who's not staying up to date, who's not advancing. The static person will always lose, in my opinion. All right, so we've rattled through a lot of reasons actually why employers of the future will love content creators. If you're looking for a place to get started, Peerr is your place. Think of it as your one-stop shop, right? Your articles, your blogs, your courses. You can host even coaching on there. Check it out at www.peerr.io. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.